Welcome everyone to DES 109 Graphic Design 1. This is our week 2 live session. I am your graphic arts instructor, Shannon McNamara. I hope that the traffic, there's a couple of cars and trucks going by every so often, isn't too loud. It's just so nice here today. We have not had nice weather in like a year. So I actually opened up the windows in my office just to let it, oh, awesome. Just to let in the nice warm air. It's like in the 70s today. They were saying it's supposed to be, I think they were saying it was supposed to be possibly, it's 76 right now, which is definitely the warmest it has been since probably August of last year. So I was like, I am opening up all of the windows in this house and getting the stagnant air out that's kind of been in here for forever. So it's so beautiful out, and it was actually nice out this weekend as well. So I was able to kind of go, I brought the kids out, and I live up in Massachusetts. So it has had nothing but rain for forever. And it was kind of funny because I saw like this funny meme on Facebook last week, and it was like, oh, it only rained twice this month. The first time was for 37 days and the second time was for 28 days. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much how our weather's been. It's just nothing but rain. So we haven't been able to go outside, get the kids outside or anything. And oh, nice. Yeah. So you know what I mean. And finally this weekend on Saturday and Sunday, both days there was enough of a stretch where it didn't rain, that we were able to just go for a walk with the kids and get them out of the house. And my son's only 3 months old. And I was like, this is what the outside is. Welcome to outside. You've never seen it. And he was just looking around like, whoa, what are these things? So yeah, anyways, that was just kind of my little weather update for the day. I also teach for an online high school, and it's so funny because they're all down in Florida and some of them are in Texas, but they're all basically in the southern states. And so every time when I start, they always want the weather update from up here. Like, they're just so amazed that like it's cold. They're like, really? Because it's like 80 here. And I'm like, don't rub it in. It's like 20. So it's always funny to give a weather update when you're in a different part of the country. All right. So just quick telephone hours, Monday through Wednesday, 7 a.m. Mountain Time to 2 p.m. Mountain Time. And don't forget, we have our multi-sessions on Tuesdays. Definitely the best time to get in with me. It's at 11:30 a.m. Mountain Time, and I'm in my Zoom room. I'm just in there waiting for you guys to come in. If you have any questions, concerns, anything that you want to have me take a look at. And remember, you can always email me. I think you guys know, those of you who have emailed me, that I'm pretty quick to get back to you via email. And you can always text me. I had a couple of students text me over the weekend, and the only reason why I might have emailed you back is if I wasn't sure what time zone you were in. So if you sent me honestly a text after 7 o'clock my time zone, I usually try to put my phone away on the weekends as much as I can to just spend some time with my husband so he remembers what my face looks like. So if I get it the next morning, I don't want to wake anyone up. So I will try to email you back, or just if you were saying that your work was going to be late, just make a quick note in the grade book saying I got your text or I got your email, just so that way I never want to wake anyone up, especially on a Saturday or a Sunday morning. I understand what it's like to be able to sleep in. We take turns. I usually sleep in on Saturday morning, and he usually sleeps in on Sunday morning, because you may have noticed I go in and I try to do my grading early on Sunday so you guys have all your grades back. All right, so moving right along, because I have a big agenda for today. So go over some announcements, a crap review, plus a demo. And the demo for today, I'm going to show you the assignment and how to do it and everything. And then I'm also going to do that demo for those of you who read my announcement on Sunday and zipped your packages for your InDesign files and got them to me. So that way, and if you didn't read the announcements on Sunday, I had given an offer to anyone who had gone in, read the announcements, checked their email on Sunday before midnight, and was able to zip and package their InDesign file from their assignment. So those of you who did that I chose to do the demo, you can fix, as you know, based on what I'm doing, you'll be able to just follow along and do those fixes and get a 100% for week 1. So it really pays off to read the announcements in the course and to watch the live sessions in the course. I'm all about trying to give you guys, you know, a little bit of help, a couple of, you know, extra hands up here. All right. Also, we're going to go over the elements of design, some copyright tools for designers. We're going to talk about our discussion for week 2, our assignment for week 2, and our assessment for week 2. So again, big agenda. A reminder on the due dates. Assignments and assessments are due by Saturday at midnight for full credit. Communicate regarding late work. Let me know. Do you want to know what my response was to everyone who emailed me before the deadline and said, hey, my work is going to be late? I said, okay, your 0 in the grade book will be cleared out without penalty when you upload your assignment because you communicated with me ahead of time. That's all it takes. Sending me a quick email, letting me know what's going on and that the work's going to be late. Your week 4 assignments cannot be turned in late. The course will turn into a pumpkin. It will lock you out and it will not let you upload anything. And this isn't my doing. This is the entire school. So the same thing happens for me. When I need to submit my final work for week 4 in my master's program here at Independence, if I'm late, even if I start uploading it and it doesn't finish uploading, it will lock me out as well. Your original discussion posts are due by Wednesday at midnight. And again, make sure you're remembering to respond to 2 of your fellow students by Saturday. I tried to go in on Saturday and everyone who hadn't yet responded to the 2 fellow students, I tried to give you a little bit of an update via the gradebook, which sends an email to you saying, hey, don't forget to respond to 2 of your fellow students. Make sure you can get the full 60 points this week. So again, remember to do that because that's worth 20% of the grade right there, responding to 2 of your fellow students. Also, late discussion posts and late work from week 1 will only be accepted up until this Saturday of week 2. So if you have any late work and you need to make sure that you're getting it into me by this Saturday because it's going to lock you out and it's not going to let you upload. If there is anything that is preventing you from getting your week 1 work in by this Saturday, I need you to contact me. I need you to make arrangements with me. I think you guys can see at this point, I'm pretty easy to work with. I just need to know what's going on. So don't look at this and say, well, there's no way that I can get it in by Saturday, so I'm just not going to do anything. That's a horrible outlook. I don't want you to fail this class. I want everyone to pass this class and to get the most out of it. This is Graphic Design 1. This is what you are going to school for. You're going to school to be a graphic designer. So this is one of your most important courses. So I really want to be the best resource for you that I can be in this class because this class is so important. There's so many important things to learn, and it's a really fun class if you really get into it. So I really want everybody to be, truly invested in this class. I want everyone to do well. So anything that I can do to assist you, if you're having trouble, if you're not understanding something, if, anything, I'm not going to know if you don't tell me. So just reach out so that way I can help you out. Again, our live sessions are Mondays at 11:30 a.m. Mountain Time, and our multi-sessions are Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. Mountain Time. So those multi-sessions are open for you to come in with any assignment problems that you may have, if you have any questions, or if you need some one-on-one tutoring in something. So even if you're just having trouble, like, you know, like your Adobe programs aren't working and you just need somebody to take a look, come to the multi-session and I can, you know, kind of get into your computer. I might not know how to solve the problem, but I can at least try to send, you know, take a look and possibly send you in the right direction to get it solved. So again, you know, if you have any questions, come to the multi-session, email me, text me, whatever it is that you need to do. Just let me know what the problem is. So I like to hold our live sessions and our multi-sessions early in the week because that gives you ample time during the week to get your assignments done. And if you do need any outside help, the Student Success Center is open with tutoring available and no appointment is necessary. It's kind of a good segue to hop on over into our announcements. Let's take a quick mosey through the announcements for this week. So this was the announcement that I was talking about. Also, I had posted on the 15th. What day was that? Wednesday? Possibly. A quick video for you guys to watch that would have helped you with your assignments this week. So, you know, I hope that everyone was able to watch that. It was only a half hour long and I set up a whole, you know, ad using hierarchy, grids, everything else in InDesign just to you know, show you a quick way to put things together and kind of explain what that hierarchy is, why you set things up the way you do, why it makes things, you know, look good. So I can see, based on going into YouTube, this only had 11 views, and there's about 70 of us in this class. So 11 people. And I probably know who the 11 people are based on the work I saw, took the time to go in and watch this and, you know, figure out an easy way to put their layout together, possibly following along with what I've done. I'm going to try to share things like this every single week with you guys. And what you can even do is you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, or you can, you know, just bookmark these videos to hold on to in the future. If you're like, wait a minute, I know I had that class with Shannon and she kind of went over hierarchy, and my instructor this time around saying that my design needs more hierarchy. You know what? I'm going to go back in and watch that video. So that's why I share this with you. That's why I create these videos, these little extra videos for you guys to just help you out. Also, this was the announcement on, you know, do you want a 100% for your assignment for this week? Want to be a demo? I had 3 people email me. So you know what? Those 3 people, I said I was going to pick 2. I'm going to do all 3. So you guys are going to get 100% for week 1. And then I also have this video here to help you out. It's how to view the annotations and the feedback in the gradebook in case if you're not quite sure how to see the comments that I leave you on the PDF, and I'll go over that real quick. It's only a minute long.
Good morning, everyone. I wanted to just make a quick video to show you how you can see your feedback on your grades that I've left, the little notes that I've left on your PDFs. So if you go over into your grades area and scroll down, I'm going to use the week 1 assignment as an example. What you need to do is it'll show your grade. You can see the rubric, so you can see where you may have lost some points. And then if you click on view feedback, this will show you that PDF where I have annotated the notes for you. So this will be a little bit helpful so you can preview and you can see where each of the boxes there's a little dotted line that shows where the note goes to, and the different feedback. So hopefully this is helpful.
So again, I really like to, give you guys feedback that way, because it's just so much easier sometimes than writing it out in paragraph form and being like, on the second line of the third paragraph of this, fix, this line to make it's so much easier to just go right here, fix this one little piece right here. So the annotation's a really great thing. I'm just going to mute myself for just 1 second. My allergies, it's great to have the windows open, but along with that comes allergies. So hold on 1 second. All right, hopefully you can hear me a little bit better. At least I can talk a little bit better. So these are my tips for a successful week 2 and my policy regarding resubmission. So I do allow 1 resubmission per assignment or assessment for a better grade, but auto-graded quizzes are exempt. Your resubmissions need to be completed by the Tuesday of week 4, and your discussions cannot be resubmitted. So if you're missing work from week 1, as I said, there is definitely still time to fix this. Just try and get the missing assignments or assessments in as soon as you can, because there really is still time to bring up your grade going into week 2. And week 1 is going to be open through this Saturday, the 25th. Again, don't forget the readings and videos this week in the readings and videos tab. If you need some extra help from the Writing Center, you can make an appointment with them. If you want to come to the live session or need to find the recorded sessions, they're in the live session tab. They are also in the announcements, and in the announcements, I do share my slides with you, as you guys know. If you do need some extra help, you can visit the Student Success Center. If you need some computer support, you can go in there. Also, don't forget to do those daily checkpoints. I'm seeing a lot of people losing a lot of points because they're not doing the daily checkpoints. So if you miss daily checkpoints during week 1, we're in a new week. Just log in every single day. Log in on your phone through the Canvas app if you have to. Just make sure that you do those daily checkpoints, because I hate seeing people losing points from those daily checkpoints because they didn't do them. It really bums me out. If you are having issues with Adobe, Sean offers Adobe help every Friday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon Mountain Time, and I did provide a link to his Zoom room. And again, our learning coach is DJ Smith. These are the hours for this week. Today from 4 to 9 p.m. Off on Tuesday, but I'll be in my Zoom room on Tuesday for the multi-session. Wednesday, 7 to 11 p.m. Thursday off. Friday, 6 to 11 p.m. and Saturday, 4 to 10 p.m. So these later hours are great because, like I said, I'm on the East Coast, so I'm on Eastern Standard Time. These hours are Mountain Time. So DJ's definitely around to help you out later on in the evening and later on into the night, which is great. All right. So last week we were discussing our 4 principles of design: contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. And remember, we were saying that those are our crap principles, which is kind of funny, but also kind of easy to remember. So the contrast was if elements are not the same, to make them very different. So you can use contrast with, color, your imagery, with your layout, fonts. There's a lot of different ways to use that contrast. You can add contrast with size, texture, position, shape, color, orientation. And now this one, this is a really pretty website, homepage, but does it have good or bad contrast in it? And it's kind of perfect that it's kind of low res, which makes it a little bit more difficult to see. So good or bad contrast? And for those of you who are here, you can type here. Yeah, bad, exactly. Everything's green. I mean, it's really pretty, but the only thing that stands out on this page, randomly enough, is this random bucket right here. And what does that tell me about the company? Not much. It seems like they're an olive farm, so I'm assuming these are olive trees and they must sell olive oils or something. But their logo is green on top of a green background with green trees on top of a green background, and then this orange bucket that really stands out, but that doesn't tell me anything. How about this one, though? Good or bad contrast? This one's good. Right. It's really high, a great contrast, exactly. You know, it's really shocking, the imagery, but the contrast makes it really stand out. You know, the black and white and the red. I mean, that's, you know, three colors that you would choose for really high contrast. How about this one? This one's actually bad, and there's a reason behind it. There's a lot of contrast going on, but there's no rhyme or reason to it. So this is also, you know, all right. This would have good contrast if, you know, the fonts made sense. Certain things stood out where they're supposed to stand out. You know, let's think about this. Harley Davidson, their logo is orange. There's no hierarchy to this. There's no rhyme or reason to why this is set up this way. So Harley Davidson, number one, they have a logo, and their logo is orange. This is not their logo, and it's pink, which is the complete wrong color either way. But it's pink on a white background, so it's not really standing out. And then you have Ride True motorcycles, and everything's in a different font. Ride True has a drop shadow to it, but why? There's really no rhyme or reason to the design that's going on here, which means it's bad contrast because it doesn't have that hierarchy to make anything that's supposed to stand out stand out. Now we have another green one. Right, colorful but no order. That's a great way to put it. How about this one? So this one with the green is good because the black, the white, everything really, you know, things that are supposed to stand out do stand out, and it's a really good use of contrast. Then we have repetition. So we can add repetition. We can add repetition through colors, shapes, textures, line thickness, fonts, sizes. There's a lot of different ways that our layout that we can add repetition. So do you think that this design has repetition? I'm going to make this full screen just so it's a little bit easier for you guys to see. Yes, it does. You know, there's a couple of different things that show the repetition. You know, the use of like this background that kind of looks like tape or ripped paper. We have repetition in the fonts. We have repetition in the way things are laid out in the pictures. Exactly. This is a really good use of all the crap principles, honestly, this layout. How about this one? Yes. I will give that to you. Yes and no. There technically is repetition, you know, through the layout, and you can see like, here's the logo that goes with this, where this is bold, this is not bold, this is the link. logo, bold, not bold blank. So there is repetition, but it needs to be laid out. You know, the top line is obviously laid out on a grid and everything's nice and lined up, but they didn't carry that grid throughout. And I think if they did, this would be a much stronger piece. How about this one? Yes, definite repetition. There's actually the repetition of the camera in the background, and then the repetition right here, not just the color, but even the headline. Pictures, more photos, or picture more photos, picture more photos, picture more photos. Then we have alignment, where every element should have some visual connection with another element on the page. This also, alignment and proximity for this reason can be hard to distinguish from one another, and they kind of go hand in hand. So this example right here kind of explains it best, where you should avoid this and try doing this. So the items on this side are aligned in 2 columns, and then there is also proximity of the description next to the item. So there's that visual connection with the other elements on the page, as well as the alignment of the other elements on the page. So that can be lining up the top, the bottom, the sides, the middle of text or graphics. Using that invisible line, that's our grid, you need to add alignment. So how about this one? Good or bad alignment? Good, yeah, this definitely has good alignment. How about this one? You know what? There's a no, and it might not be what you're thinking. And I'm going to show it to you. This is actually very well done. The way that the items are stacked right here. And you might think to yourself, well, that's not good alignment. But where it goes wrong is sweaters don't die when returned and dogs are not gifts. These 2 lines should be centered because the logo is nicely centered underneath, and then that alignment would work. And I know you're probably thinking to yourself that this isn't good alignment, but this is, they've taken the text and made a graphical element of it. So it really does work. It's just these 2 lines are throwing it off. How about this one? Yes, this is really well done. This is a very well done piece. This is something that you should strive for when you're creating a business card. This is a very well designed business card. All right, so then we have that proximity. So items relating to each other should be grouped in close proximity to each other. So you can see there's like the logos here all grouped together. So you would list items, you know, such as menu items, contact info, names. Can you think of any more? You know, putting the headline and the subheadline together, your bullet points together, things like that. Things that belong together, keeping them together. So does this have good proximity or bad? It's confusing. Yes, this is confusing, which means it's bad. And I can see where they were going with this and what they wanted to do. it just didn't work out, right? It's like it just got a little bit lost along the way. How about this one? Yes, this has good proximity. Yes. You have the name of the band and the name of the album, all of the information, the small text, the names of all of the songs, and then, the barcode and that this is a compact disc all together. So this is really good proximity. How about this one? No. Everything is just grouped together. There's no proximity because everything's next to everything else, right? So it looks like there's something going on called Your Mac Life Rocks Expo 2007. It's going to be held at the Great American Music Hall in San Francisco. It's going to be on Thursday, January 11th. And then it looks like the Silicon Valley House Rockers are going to be there, which they're a 5-piece horn section with lead vocalist and guitar Paul Kent, and then there's also going to be a special guest on keyboards. There's going to be appetizers and a full open bar. The tickets are $100, but there's no admission without tickets, and if you need more information, you can visit this website. Everything's the same size. Everything's all together. You can't tell. If you were going to look at this real quick, look at how long you have to look at this before you can even figure out what's going on. It's just a list of every single piece of information, right, with nothing standing out. There's no hierarchy and there's no proximity to the information. So again, what makes good design? You want to look for that contrast, that proximity, that alignment, and that repetition. So this is good. 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 All right, there are also those 5 basic elements of design, which is line, shape, texture, color, and value. So line, one of the most important elements of design, line defines a subject's form or shape on a flat 2-dimensional surface. Lines can be thick or thin, smooth or jagged, rigid and mechanical, or organic and hand-drawn. And the quality of a line has the ability to express psychological characteristics of a composition to an audience. And you may be saying to yourself, well, what does that mean? All right, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines here. Which 2 lines would be best to use on a yoga ad? It's like a little line to divide information. Right, the bottom 2. Because think of yoga. It's like breathing and feeling zen, and these are just have that feeling to them. This, you'd be like, I don't think I want to go to that yoga studio. That does not look relaxing at all. Too rigid, exactly. So you can see there's that psychological feel to the line. And that's why it's, if there is one tool in Illustrator, I would tell you to keep working at, even if you don't need to go into Illustrator every single mod, I would say keep working at the pen tool in Illustrator, because that's where you make those lines, and keep working at getting those nice swooping kind of fluid movements from the pen tool. And that all comes with practice. I had to practice the pen tool for years before I was really able to use it well. So that's the tool for getting that great line work. All right, and then you have shape. So shape is a two-dimensional area confined by an actual line or even an implied line. So that can be the edge of the page, the edge of your margin that you've left there. You can't physically see the line, but you know it's there and you don't go past it. In design, shapes are created when the ends of lines are joined to enclose areas. And shapes can be geometric or freeform and organic in nature. So you can see we have these geometric shapes, and then we have these freeform shapes over here. And then there's texture. So texture can be actual texture. You know, when you walk up to a wall and feel the wallpaper, maybe it has like an embossed feel to it, or maybe it's smooth. Or if you feel, you know, if you buy that fancy resume paper and it has that linen feel to it, that's a physical feel of texture. But it can also be the surface quality, you know, on the page. You can have a textured background on the page that you create in Photoshop by just making a pattern, and that adds that element of texture to the back. And I'm just going to make a quick note for myself to do something like that today, because I can kind of show you that as an example. Hold on. Texture. I'm going to be looking down while I'm working. I like put my ginormous notepad in a spot where it's like in the way of my hand. So that way I'll keep bumping it and be like, texture. Oh yeah, do that. So again, alignment, arrangement or position of lines of a text or an image, left, right, centered. Asymmetrical or symmetrical, that can be when graphics or text are not identical on both sides of a central line as opposed to being identical on both sides. And then you can use different borders, you know, decorative effects on the edge or surface that can form an outer boundary. So I used to make coupons a lot, so I had to do all of the coupon borders. And this is just some stuff you can look over as well, that you guys can read over. But I really want to get into our demo portion of today and go over our discussion and everything else. So let's hop on into it. And actually, before I do that, let me go back to the home page for a moment. Let's actually click on week 2 and take a look at our readings and videos for this week. So this week you have that pre-recorded lecture, and then there's also a reading on visual elements for copywriting tools for graphic designers. And you'll notice that I had that in my slides as well. There's a lynda.com playlist for you on Illustrator Essential Training, because we're going to be using Illustrator this week. And again, it's from CC 2017 and we're in 2019, but there's not a lot of changes. So don't worry about that. And chapter 12 as well, which goes into other things in Illustrator. So if you haven't been in Illustrator for a while, it's okay. I think these lynda.com playlists are going to really help you out. I did not fully understand the copywriting. The reason why you're talking about copywriting or understanding copywriting is you get ad copy when you're creating advertisements, and that really ties into our assignment for this week. So that's why you just kind of want to understand when people, there's 2 different ways of looking at copyright. Copyright, yes, you can file a copyright to protect your designs, but copywriting, which is spelt like the word writing, W-R-I-T-E, that's when you write copy. So when you write copy for an advertisement. See, copywriting. All right, so let's go over the background of our discussion this week. So graphic design is fundamentally about visual communication. Though to non-designers, it may seem like design is magical in how a piece comes together. If you ask my mom what I do for a living, I'm pretty sure that that's what she thinks, graphic design is. I don't know. My daughter sits on the computer and she presses a button and then she's able to Photoshop something. Like, I don't think that they really understand the nuance that goes into graphic designing. So again, though to non-designers, it may seem like design is magical and how a piece comes together. Designers know that when you use the principles of design to guide how you are using the elements of design, creating a successful design piece is easy. Professional graphic designers will know how to do this intuitively. And it's true. The longer that you have been doing this, you'll just kind of see your ad copy and put it together in your head and be like, oh, I'm going to lay it out this way. But as a student, now's your chance to practice working with these things to ensure that you too are successful. And it's going to take practice to get to that point where it's going to feel intuitive. Rome was not built in a day. When I first started doing graphic design, I was not at the level that I'm at now. I didn't know what I was doing. I had to learn. I had, an aptitude for art, and I had an understanding of things that looked nice. Like, I could see something and say to you, I like that looks nice. But it wasn't until I really started to study design that I understood why it looked nice. And a prime example of that, not to go off on a sidebar here, but I think but I kind of want to explain to you where my graphic design and why I wanted to do it came from. I had told you how I learned about graphic design and Photoshop in high school. And one of the things that we got in high school, when I went to high school, which was quite a while ago, was we received in our history class Newsweek magazine, which I don't know if you guys remember Newsweek magazine. I don't even think it's in print anymore. I think it's only available online now. But the back page of Newsweek always had an Absolut vodka ad as their main advertiser in the 90s on the back page of the magazine. And I thought that their advertisements were awesome, like their print ads. And I was like, this is so cool how they put these together, and it's just great. Like, I remember the first one I saw where I was like, I want to learn how to do that was this one right here. Let me open the image. Hopefully it'll open a little bit bigger. This was the one where I said, I want to learn how to do this. How did they get the bottle to look like an orange peel? And this was back in 1994 or 1995. And somebody was like, oh, that's done in Photoshop. And so when I went to computer class and we got to learn Photoshop, and I realized, all right, this is the program where you get to learn how to do something like this. I was, that was the hook for me. But it wasn't until I went to college and I started to study graphic design that I understood why something like this stood out to me as being great design, as opposed to, I just want to be a graphic designer because I like art and art is fun and I think it'll be fun. I was like, okay, you know what? This looks awesome, but why does it look awesome? This has all of the elements of our craft principles in it. It's a contrast with the orange against the black background. It has repetition where, they've used an orange peel to signify the orange flavor in the citron, and it's also peeling like you would peel an orange, and then we've got the repetition of the orange and the orangey yellow throughout, and then the mirror effect down here. It has alignment. It's nice and center aligned throughout the page, and it also has proximity. So the peel, the proximity not only to each other, but think of this, the proximity of using an orange peel to an actual orange, to the physical element that it tastes like. There's that proximity as well. So it has all of those crap design principles. So in high school, I saw that ad and said, that's really cool, and I know that that's great design. In college, I learned why it's great design, and it was the learning the why portion of it that allowed me to go to the next level as a designer and become a better designer myself. So this is your chance to practice working with these elements to continue to hone your craft of being a designer to get yourselves to the next level. There's something that I want you to know about graphic design. The day you stop learning in graphic design is the day that your designs are going to be stagnant. You're going to stop evolving as a designer. And that's something I had to learn over years and years of being a graphic designer. You always have to stay up to date with what the trends are now, what's going on in the field, what people want to see, what grabs people's attention. Because the minute that you stop doing that, imagine if I was still designing the way I learned how to design in 1997. Everything I designed would kind of look like one of those 90s websites, right? Where they had like the rollover GIFs for your buttons and everything had a hover effect and things like that. Imagine what my graphic design would look like if I never evolved past what I learned in college. So even when you graduate, you need to just keep looking and keep an eye out for everything that's out there. It's what's going to make you a graphic designer, and it's what's going to make you stay at the top of your game. You can never stop learning in graphic design. It doesn't work that way. So I just kind of want to hone those facts home about the background of our topic for this week. So the elements of design refer to visual elements within a design. And I did just go over those in the slideshow, but you can refer back when you're putting your discussion post together for this week to my slideshow. That'll probably help you. They're the actual things that you can see, and they're the building blocks of any design piece. The following are considered to be elements of design: point, line, shape, color, texture, type. And you can find visual examples of each of these in the course media reading materials or in my slides. And then you have the principles of design. So the principles of design refer to the way that the elements of design are actually being used within our composition. They are the formula behind how you might choose to use the elements. The principles of design, they tend to support one another, and they work together. They have a collaborative relationship. So though any given piece may be more dominant, which is fine, in one particular principle or another, a successful piece of design tends to have all the principles present to some degree. So like that poster that I showed you with the white hand arm with the red type and the black background, obviously contrast is the first thing that you saw in that piece, but it did have all of the elements in it. It had the repetition, all of those words, different size, but they were all the same font. It had the alignment. The arm was coming in, from the left to the right. The words were kind of all over the page, but they were centered coming down from the arm. It had the proximity of keeping the words together, so it looked like blood coming down from the arm to get the message across. So again, contrast is what you notice first, but all the other elements were there. So as with the elements of design, you can find visual examples of each in this week's course media reading material or in my slideshow. When understanding how the design elements and design principles relate, it's helpful to think in terms of cooking. The elements of design are the ingredients, while the principles of design are the recipe itself. When you use the correct ingredients in the correct manner, you're going to have a tasty dish. The same is true with the elements of design and the principles of design. So here's our prompt for this week. And it's not going to be hard to imagine this scenario because I've probably done this scenario as a graphic designer 100 times. Imagine that you've recently redesigned the menu for your local coffee shop. The original menu was created by the owners themselves. The coffee shop owners wanted to keep everything in neutral shades of brown and decided to make all the words the same size and use a different font for every single drink because they thought this would make the menu feel friendly and casual. Instead, customers began complaining that the menu felt a little bit confusing and hard to read. So for a visual for this is somewhat between all of the menu items look like this, but everything is one color. It's kind of, going in between these two examples. That's what their menu looked like when they were done with it. So on your redesign, you used a simple contrasting color scheme. You used different weights of the same font. You set up a clear grid layout, and you grouped the beverages together. So now the menu's really easy to scan, and customers have already been commenting on the positive change. In describing to the coffee shop owner what you did to redesign the menu, how are you going to explain these design elements and the design principles used? How do the elements and the principles relate? What principles might have been lacking in the original menu, and why might the design elements in the new menu now support the principles? So for your citation, you might use articles that show examples of how the elements and the principles of design work. You can also find articles from experts that suggest what happens and what goes wrong when you're not conscious of the elements and the principles of design. So when you're replying to your fellow students, maybe you can pretend to be the coffee shop owner. And if you think that their discussion is just a little bit too technical, say to them, hey, pretend I'm the coffee shop owner. Like, lay this out for me in layman's terms. How would you explain this? What's a good visual? And if you want a good visual for this week to explain, and this is a great way for me to see who's watching the live sessions at home. You guys who are here, I know that you guys are watching because you're here. You're hanging out with me. But this is a great way to explain. Is if you would like to this week, go into my slides and you can use this as an example. Take a screenshot of this slide, and then tell them, say, this was my redesign. I kind of took this and I turned it into this, which has all of the crap principles still using the same color scheme. These are kind of two great examples. Obviously, this isn't a redesign of this website, but it looks like it kind of could be, right? So you can use that as a visual for this week to help make your point. All right. With that being said, I'm going to hold off on the assignment because this is the part you've all been anxiously waiting for. I'm going to do my demo of fixing the work for those 3 students from last week. And for those of you who sent me your stuff, you'll just need to do what I did, and then you'll have your 120 out of 120. So what I did was, what I did is I put it somewhere where I can't find it. Student war. Oh, I might have put it in week 2. Hold on. Because we're in week 2. Demo. There we go. All right. I took a screenshot of the comments that I made. And what did I do? Jennifer's. Oh, I remember it. So, Jennifer, when you get to yours, you can just follow along with what I did. I put your screenshot somewhere. I remember doing it this morning at 6, as you can see, at 6:45 a.m. So clearly, that's what ends up happening when I do things at 6:45 a.m. And here's the reason why I asked you to send me a package file, because it always says that all of the images are missing whenever you just send an InDesign file. So, all right, this was great. And, oh, I can already see where to fix that comment. All right. So for this one, I said maybe make your column a little bit skinnier because the text was too close here. It's not that your columns are the wrong size. They're okay. It's just that this image right here, if we zoom in, is running into that gutter. And so we want to make this image a little bit smaller. So I'm going to just, the easiest way to do this is to grab the black arrow tool and select the image. And I'm just going to close it up right to the column, which you can see that crops the image out. So I need to get it to refit in that space. And I'm going to go up to Object, Fitting, and I want to fill the frame proportionally. Whoops, wrong one. Sorry. I always do this. Fit content proportionally. There we go. And it's going to shrink it up. So I'm going to need to be, aware of that. And I'm going to have to fix my, the little tagline right here. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this one. See, this one's also running into the gutter right here. So that's why it made it look like this text box was too small, but that's not actually what happened. There we go. And Object, Fitting, Fill frame proportional. Oh, Object, Fitting, fit content proportionally. And that kind of moved it. All right, my InDesign is being, or my InDesign's being weird. Hold on. Fitting, fit content proportion. There we go. And then these are lined up. Why is this doing that? All right, that's why. It was selecting the inside, even though I was on the black arrow. So then what I want to do is I'm going to move this closer to the image, but I'm not going to move it right on top of the image. See, because I always want to give that a little bit of a buffer between my elements. So yes, I want them to be close together for proximity, but not so close that they're running on top of each other. So for this one right here, the I want you for US Army, I gotta check the, all right, this one's not scaled proportionally, so I'm gonna fix that. See how these two numbers don't match, the 117 and the 95? I need to fix that. So I'm going to, and the way I checked it, by the way, going to the white arrow, clicking on the image, and double checking it. So I'm going to go back to my black arrow, kind of click off, click back on, go to Object, Fitting, Fit Content Proportionally. And here's the thing, if I want it to be as wide as the column, which makes sense because these two are. I'm going to need to fix this a little bit. So I'm going to move this down here, and I'm going to actually bump this text box open just a smidge because the 7 is still inside of the margin when I open it up, but sometimes the text box won't read it that way. You just have to manually check it and leave the text box a little bit larger than you might think it needs to be. And I'm going to use my black arrow tool, and I'm just going to close this up. And if you double click on the edge, it'll close it right up to the image. And then I'm going to hold down Shift and Command, and I'm going to drag from the corner to the edge. And you can see, all right, clearly I'm going to need to address my text a little. So now I have the same size images and the same layout and amount of space between my images and the name of the poster, which this one's missing a exclamation. And that bumped my 7 out a little bit. So what I'm gonna show you a little trick. Select your text, go up here to see the to change your kerning, set it to -5. It's just gonna smush it in just enough where you can kind of fudge it. All right, next thing we're gonna do, I am going to select my text in this text box, and great, you have linking text boxes. I love to see this. The third picture is the same width. I'm looking to make my width the same on all three of them, not necessarily my height, just my width to the columns. And the first thing, no worries. So the first thing I can do, because these two text boxes are linked, is I can open up this text box all the way down to the bottom margin and start to close this one up and see if the text flows fine, and it does. So that kind of takes care of that. But I feel like maybe this text, see, it's 9 point over 10.8, and the lines are just a little bit too close. So I'm going to try to change this to 11, and that kind of works. And I can open this one up just a little bit more. And let's preview this. And I still feel like there's just, looking for the contrast. I'm not seeing a whole lot of contrast in this. And honestly, it could be the way this text is. This is kind of hard to read. Like, I like the idea of using the two columns, but going from here to here is kind of a jump for my eyes. So I'm going to try to change this up a little bit. Let me go back to normal view. And I'm going to move all three images. Delete that. Just going to move this over here for a second. All three images up here. And I'm going to actually, these two are the closest in size. I'm going to take my white arrow and I'm going to manually, see how it kind of gave a white border, but the other ones don't really have that white border. So I'm going to manually go in and get it, kind of drop a ruler here. And see, with my white arrow, select the image. And again, hold down Command Shift. I'm going to start at this edge and just kind of drag this over and then close it up with the black arrow. There we go. So these two are now kind of the same size. And then I'm going to set the alignment for these, I want to make sure that these are lined up. Where are you? Swatches, align, here you are. And then I'm going to group these together, group these two together, and then group these two together. Just for ease of moving things around. I'm going to move this one over here, leave this one right here, and move this one to the middle, because this is the only one that's a little bit shorter. So, but I'm then going to, let me just ungroup, align these. And nope, I'm gonna move it closer for proximity. These ones need to move a little bit closer too. There. And move you back here. So now, what we have is there. Perfect. All right, perfect. I think that this might read a little bit better. And I'm going to move this up here. All right. So now this reads a little bit better because our eye, our eye naturally will scan the page this way. And I just think it's good for readability. I think that that's going to be the better way to go. All right, let's look at page 2. This is very nice, nice layout. All right, so then same thing, we've got that, that 3 columns, which is working, but those images, again, we're gonna do the same thing. The images are running into the columns, so I'm gonna move them over to the margin, object, fitting, fit content proportionally. I almost did again. And object, fitting, fit content proportionally. And I'm going to move this down a little bit. And then I'm going to open up this text box to the column. And centered is kind of hard to read in large groups of text. So I am going to left align this. And I don't like this one line ending up over here. So I'm going to bring this font size down to 11 point. And I'm going to expand the leading between my lines. And that's going to give you a little bit more room over here. Maybe you want to move this to the next line and move this closer. And then these two are actually lined up. I think it's okay to center psychedelic era and then the time span. But this, again, just kind of helps that readability. You could even leave this left justified, but close up the text box to the text, and then center align these 2 elements. Do the same thing over here. If you just double click on the edge, whoops. There we go. Or just kind of manually close it. Whoops. Open. There we go. And then select the 2. You can align those, center align those. Again. And where it says trend set and centers is on 2 lines, hit Shift Enter and move that to the next line. So again, just kind of fixes the alignment and those crap principles. All right, let's see this. For For this one, to balance this a little bit better, I would either move this swatch over here or grab both of these and group them and then center them. Whoops. Why? Align to page, I guess. There, all right. And then center them that way, just for some balance. And if you really, truly want to get crazy with your balance, the 3 should probably go on the bottom. All right, number 3. This one has stayed within the margins better. Let's just double check the proportions here. All right, so that is not, these aren't placed proportionally. So we gotta go in object, fitting, fit content proportionally, object, fitting, fit content proportionally, and fit content proportionally. So because these were just kind of squished into this area, we need to kind of rethink this a little bit. There's no reason that you can't kind of break the grid with your images, honestly. I think that that's fine. You know, maybe do something like this. You know, double check that it's the same size or same amount of space between the two of them. Then just delete that square. I use squares all the time for things. Raygun magazine designs. All right. And then we can put this actually on here. Again, you can start this down here and have it flow up into this one. And possibly just bring down the font size. 11 point, and let's see if we can get it to 15. I don't know if we can. Might have to. There. Yeah. That works. I think that works. Let's look at it in preview. Yeah. So you've kind of broken the grid here, but you haven't at the same time. All right, and let's see, next page. And again, my same comment, I would either probably center these, something like this. All right, so that's the first one. Second one, start page 1. All right, so this I can see that there isn't actually a grid set up right now. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. And because I'm not quite sure how many things that you wanted on your grid, I'm going to go up to layout and I'm going to go to margins and columns, and I can see you have a 1/2 inch margin, and I think that that's fine. We can stick with that. I'm just going to add in 5 columns, and we'll just try to line things up with those 5 columns. All right, so let's check proportions here. So, all right, we got to fix the proportions on this one. Object, fitting, fit content proportionally. Close that up. And I am going to close this to this margin and move this in here, and then I'm going to center these two. Okay. And then again, just fit that into the space. And, oh, okay, you've typed that in. So this can be a little bit bigger. And as for our contrast, the black over the red's kind of hard to read. I would actually change this to white. That shows up a little bit better. All right, so now we can use this column right here, and let's just center these. I really like this font for grunge, but Everyday Ghost times New Yorker. I would use the same grungy font for both of them. So I'm going to go to Type, Find Font, and which one did I say I liked? I like Everyday Ghost, I think is grungier. So I'm going to change the Times New Yorker regular to Everyday Ghost and do a change all. Whoops, wrong way. All right. Or do Type, Find Font, Everyday Ghost, and change it to Times New Yorker. Change all. There we go. Okay. And maybe magazine can be, it's kind of a large space right there, so I'm just going to do a -60 between those to bring that in a little bit. With these grungy fonts, they're actually, the spacing can get a little bit weird. Marker Felt. I'm on the fence with this font for this. I like the idea of using a marker font, but you've already got a display font, and marker is a display font as well. So I might change it to something actually, this Acumen Pro Condensed kind of looks nice with this. Maybe not thin, but is that the only version of it I have? Maybe that'll work, just a little bit bigger. It needs to be a little bit, yeah. That's just Acumen Pro Condensed Pro Thin Condensed Light Medium. Maybe just a regular thin and a bit smaller. And actually, if you really want it to be this whole space, which I get, I'm going to go to Object, Text Frame Options, and I'm going to say for justification, I want to justify it. It's going to spread all the words out, no matter what the size of the text box is, which is a really simple way to kind of get things to to do that. Let's try regular. Let's try left justifying this, moving this down. And it looks like this quote goes with this. So I'm going to put them together and do an extra return here and then manually move that down. And then I'll just center, I'm just going to center this part and make where this came from a little bit smaller and maybe move it up to that line. Maybe something like that. If you can hear, if you can hear that music in the background, I apologize. It's actually the mailman. I can't even make that up. All right. There we go. And just double check that. And I would actually change this font and this font to be this font as well. Or maybe even to the grunge era font, the Times New Yorker. Times New Yorker. And get rid of that return right there. If you want it to move down, you can just kind of manually move it down. There we go. All right. So I think that makes it a little bit easier to read. Maybe even make this bold. Get rid of that return. You know, again, for kind of to make certain things stand out. All right, next page. Remove this border here. I think it's okay that you have the background color, but remove that border. And again, I don't think that this is the best font, so I would match this font, which is the Acumen Pro regular. And this is large. It doesn't need to be that big. I would probably make it maybe 10-point type, left justify it, add a return between each of them. Even smaller. You know, if you want to make it, you know, here are your resources, maybe center just that. Make these a little bit smaller, maybe 9-point type. There. I think perfect. And I would actually remove the border on these ones. I understand why you would keep it on this one to make it stand out. And again, make sure that you're adhering to your grid. It didn't follow down here, but I would make sure that you add that grid in down here. All right, so this page, again, we're gonna add a grid in. One, two, three, four. Maybe, let's go with 4 on this one. And I'll add it down here as well, layout. 2, 3, 4, okay. And I think that these are good font choices that you have right here. So I'm going to move this over to my margin right here and close it up to the gutter. Same thing down here. Close it up to the gutter. And then when this is centered, you can kind of center it here. And then we're going to center this image with this text box. And center these two. And then I think really all we have to do is I'm going to left. You know what? I think that this works being centered. I just think that the font size needs to come down to like 11. And you can add an extra return here and then maybe even bring it up a little bit closer. And move general public and consumers to one line. I think that that works. And then move this up to here, whoops, to the margin. And that gives you room to move these two up, these two text boxes, and move this a bit off of that. Again, just giving a little bit more space to your elements on the page. Let's go down. And again, we're going to move these ones over. And then you can line these ones up, actually, with the inside, if you want, of the gutter. I think that that works. I would move this to the inside of the gutter. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did here on the first page. You know, your resources can stay centered, but these I would left justify, make them smaller, and add a return, because you have 3 different kinds of resources between each of them. Get rid of that return at the top. And I think that that's fine. Even open it right up to the margin. And same thing down here. I'm gonna add in some columns. Oh, make sure I'm on the page. I think 4 works for this one based on the way it's laid out. I'm going to close up this image to the inside of the columns and close up the text boxes to the inside of the columns. So this spans the 2. These are each in the 1. And I'm gonna leave that where it is. I think that that's fine. I would change your margin though on this page because you're running outside of your margin, but it's okay. I think we can get away with just adjusting the margin to 0.25 and get the things inside of that 1/4 inch margin. And I think that that'll work. Because you still have to give yourself a margin. So let's move this up and then close this down. This, and then we're going to refit this into the layout. Perfect. And this stays within this column. So you could even run these 2, make them a little bit wider, and run them up to the top even if you wanted. But again, actually, wait, keep them lined up in with the photo. Now that I'm seeing it, now that I'm looking at it. Again, I would left justify this for easier readability. Move departments to the next line, and then this whole thing to the next line. Close this up. You can leave it open just a smidge, because you can have it like run over a little bit, just not too much. And then where you had I'm gonna move this down. Where it seems like these are your in-text citations, which is great, I'm gonna make them a little bit smaller because this is graphic design, it's not an actual paper. So 10/16. I'll do the same thing with this one. 10, move this down, 16. And just kind of move this down here. Again, that's laid out a little bit better. And then we would do the same exact thing down here like we did to the other ones. Add in 4 columns. You could actually change the margin on this one if you wanted as well, because these cards go together. Close this up. Left justify this. Oops, that over. And just kind of manually do a return between the 3. Move these ones over to the margin. These ones over to the margin, and then expand this. And even vertically center this in this area. So click on the text box, go up to Object, Text Frame Options, and center alignment. And then I would probably move this down here and this one down here. And then what you can do is grab these 3, go to alignment, and distribute the objects vertically based on their centers for both rows. And I would probably leave this lined up with the top though. And that's all 3 of those ones. Next up, this one. All right, so again, we got to look at that grid. All right, so this has an actual grid laid out, which is fine, but that can be a little bit confusing when you see all these lines. So I am going to hide the document grid. And let's see, I gotta see what's going on here. This is an image, I think. Yes, okay, let's double check. This isn't placed proportionally, so we gotta fix the proportions on this one. Object, fitting, fit content proportionally. All right, so I'm going to start to just move some of these things out of the way. That. Move this stuff out of the way. And if you want it to go, which makes sense, from one side to the other, we can just kind of close this off and there we go. And we'll put that copyright right there. You can even move this copyright, honestly, into this image. Might have to change the font. Yeah, we can stick it at the bottom. All right, so let's look at this Art Deco. Here's the time span. You've got this Art Deco right here, and you're labeling it from choosing this image. I would move this information for proximity. Whoops, I turned on extras somehow. View, extras. Hide text. The stupid text extras. Show. Oh, I hit the quick key by accident. Type. View. I forget what this is. Oh, it's like the type invisibles or something. Hide hidden characters. There it is. Why I can't put it with the other show and hide things, I don't know why. I don't think that that was anything, so I'm going to delete that. All right. So I would move this time span, again, near this image because it looks like it's a piece of it, and again, for proximity, which means that got some extra boxes everywhere. You can kind of work out this information. So maybe your clientele goes over here. And your text maybe goes over here. All right, this is something a couple of people had asked about. You'll notice, so your text box, what you've done is you've actually colorized your text box instead of drawing a rectangle behind it, which I can see where you want the text to be, you know, the back of it to be colorized. Instead of colorizing the text box itself, we're going to draw a rectangle behind it. So I'm going to open up my swatches, and I'm going to change it to none and to none. And I'm going to have to draw this rectangle right now before I forget what your color scheme was. So I'm going to draw it back here. So it was that red with the orange inside, the red border. And I'm going to make the border a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to go into stroke, and I'm going to move the border. I want to align the stroke on the inside so it doesn't run outside of my margin. And then I'm going to send this to the back. Object, arrange, send to the back. So that way this image can run on top of it. Which means that I'm going to move this border actually right to the center here to give me a little bit of a margin, because I don't want that border running right up against my text. And then I'm going to take the color off of this one. So where did my swatches go? Here you are. None. None. Okay. It says Art Deco is, and these two text boxes are not linked. So what we want to do is we want to link these text boxes. So I'm going to take the information out of this text box. I'm going to do a Command X. I'm not going to delete that text box up. I'm going to go to the end of this one, and I'm going to paste that text in. And you see how I get this red overfill? I'm going to go to my black arrow key, hit that plus sign. It's going to give me a link, and I'm going to click in that second text box. Now these two text boxes are linked. So what I can do is I can do something like this. Maybe bring, whoops, wrong text box. I'm going to start with the first text box. Bring this down to maybe here. And then I'm going to bring this text box maybe to here. I want to manually make this look like the same exact, and you know, this font, 14. All right, 14 point. Well, let's bring it down to 12 and see if that helps. 13 might work even. And let's view this. So again, I'm kind of manually lining this up so it looks like it is lined up. One way that you can check it is is you can make a copy of this text box, or you don't even need to. You can just kind of open this text box and see if those two lines line up. And they don't. So I'm gonna bump that one up a little bit. And that's how you know if the text is kind of where it was supposed to be. And you can close that back up again. Perfect. All right, so let's take a look at, and honestly, because of this white here, I think I would lose the border. You know, if you really feel like you need the background color, okay. I don't know if I would do the background color. I'm not gonna lie. You know, maybe I might do the background color behind clientele, but I don't think I would do the background color. Maybe clientele and time span. Or I would probably do this background color, honestly, behind the time span. Like, you know, manually go in. Do something like that. Then you can expand this box down and up, which means that you can get this on its own line because it's its own, it is its own paragraph anyways. So I'd probably do something like that. Honestly. All right. And then these need to be lined up a bit better. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 4, 5. On this page, I mean, you could even do something like this. You could change your margins on this page to 5 columns instead of 3. And, you know, each of your color bars could be in a column if you wanted to. You know, run them right down. Like this. And make sure, again, make sure that you remove the borders on each of these. Some of them have borders, some of them don't. So oops. And last but not least. See? One way you can do it. And for this one, let's see, 3 columns. That's okay that it's 3 columns, but again, instead of keeping your color bar to the margin, I would extend your color all the way to your edge because then you can use your margin. Why can I not? Whoa. Why can't I select these? Oh, that's why. All right. All right, so keep that inside the column. Do the same thing over here. Keep it inside your column. Might need to bring that font size down a little. Keep your image inside the column. Move that up there. Maybe your clientele runs across the 3 columns. Something like this. And if you want this to run across the 2 columns, I would left justify this, but this is hard to read for body copy. So I think you need a different font for this body copy. It's okay that you're using it here, here, even so much here and here, but the rest of it, I would go with your Times or something. It's just too hard to read, especially at that color. New Roman, probably go with regular, and I would go with, you know, just one color. This is, again, hard to read. Text, especially large bodies of text, should be simpler to read. Expand this. Oops, this ran outside. And maybe move this down here, you know, and maybe line that up at the bottom. And instead of it being the semicolon, I would put in, you know, the actual colon in a space or something, or even a dash in a space. I think this works a little bit better. And then same thing down here. I would remove the black border from the swatches. It just kind of muddies the color. Maybe you can do something like this. Just that one down at the bottom. Yeah, it's fine. I might, honestly, I might set it up like these ones. I think that that's the best way with 5. I would probably do that. And then Art Nouveau, last one. All right, so again, take the color off of the text boxes and instead run it, if you want, behind your columns. No. No. Really? Assume this is theme 3. Oh. 8, 7, 6. Where are you? Of course, the one time it's not working. 5, 4, 2. None of them. 1. None of them. Oh, come on, man. Add to swatches. There we go. All right. So I'm going to take color off of this. And I'm going to run it back here. Let's send both of those to the back. And for this, links. Oh, this is a JPEG. I'm gonna edit this original. And don't worry, we are gonna get to our assignment for today. I promise. And I'll make a quick and easy 20-minute video for this week too. All right, so I'm gonna go to image mode. Grayscale. Okay. I'm going to change this to a bitmap. We're at 300 pixels an inch. Okay. And files, save as. I haven't done this in a long time. I just forget. TIFF. I think that's how I'm doing it. It's been minutes since I've done this. Since I worked at the newspaper, which was a couple of moons ago. And I want to relink. To demos, 3 links. There we go. All right. So the bitmap, so it gets rid of that white background. All right, and then this isn't proportional, so again, make it proportional, which is actually going to help you here because it's going to fit it better into your column. I would actually do something like all the way to the column. All right, so then again, we're going to bring this up here and bring this one up here, and we're going to do the same thing that we did. We're going to link these two text boxes. So I'm going to do a Command A in this text box and a Command X. Go to the end of this one and paste it in. Get my black arrow tool, select the plus sign, and click in that text box. So now they're linked. And I want to bring this to the front. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. And I am going to go to Object, where are you? Object. Why are you not showing me my options? My text frame options. Oh, text wrap. There we go. Text wrap. Open that up. And I want it to let the text wrap around. Not the bounding box, though. I want it to wrap around my image. There used to be an easier way to do it. All right, I'm going to manually do this. This is where that pen tool comes in, or actually, you could probably even use the pencil tool. So I am going to draw just around this. And close it. And make it none color. And then add a text wrap to this. Wrap around the object shape. See? So I can get my text to go right around this. All right. And then I'm going to make sure that these two text boxes are aligned. And I'm even going to, that's weird. Something weird happened here. Oh, there's a space after the comma. And perfect. I'm going to close. I'm going to bring this out or close this text box up. So this one's 1.9475. 1.9475. There we go. So that way it can be centered inside of the column. Same thing here. And again, give a little bit more room. So I'm going to bring this down. Let's check the proportions here. Place that proportionally. Make sure it's in the columns. I'm going to move this down just a little. Oops. So it's not right on top of that. Move that up a little now. Perfect. And same thing, I would use the 5. I would remove the border and use the 5 swatches on this one as well. All right. So for those of you who submitted it, the 3, and that's why we went a little bit longer, there you go. Now you know how to fix it. All right, let's get into, and I understand if you need to go because we're almost over for tonight. I am going to do a quick demo of our assignment in Illustrator to show an example, and I'm actually going to stop the recording and it will be in its own recording. For those of you who came today but need to leave, you can go right back to the actual recording where just the assignment demo is. So that's what I'm going to do, and it will be kind of quick. No worries, no worries. It'll be kind of quick, and I think it'll probably help you out.